Like I just said, if you're still struggling to get up in the morning after the time change this weekend, you are not alone. According to Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, about 55% of Americans experience tiredness following that spring switch. So Dr. Mary Collings is the official chiropractor for the Dallas Mavs and the Dallas Stars, but she joins me this morning with so much more on how you can improve your sleep technique. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. So first, why do you think so many people dread daylight saving time, and why is it such a week of fatigue, especially when it's only an hour difference?
I think it's the overwhelming, like this artificial shift change of time. It's like all of a sudden people are like, oh no, I'm going to lose an hour of sleep, and it's going to like, and it just makes everybody kind of get a little bit stressed and thinking, oh no, how am I going to get it back?
Yes.
Well, we can't gain our sleep back, but I think it's because we've got a little bit like the darker in the morning and a little lighter in the evening, and so our circadian rhythms get off a little bit.
Ooh, okay, that's a good one, because yes, driving to work and it's still dark outside, I'm like, what is actually happening? I should still be asleep. Right. But it sounds like a lot of people could use some help in this area. Me too. So how big of a problem is sleep deprivation normally?
You know, there's statistics that say that there's probably about 1.2 million different people lose their jobs, lose the time that they're spending into the education side of it, and it costs us in the upper level of like $400 million in loss of productivity.
My gosh, okay. That's insane when you think about it, but that makes sense when you think about it as a whole. Let's talk solutions though, because we all want to feel better when we get up in the morning, but you say we should start before we even get to the bedroom. So what is a consistent wind down routine? What does that look like?
I think a wind down routine should be somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes, and like a 60-minute wind down routine would be perfect for the evening. Yeah. So if we can always start with just starting to they say a 3-2-1, 3 hours before sleep, no alcohol, no food. 2 hours before sleep, no water, and then 1 hour before sleep, no blue light.
No phone, no TV.
No phones, no iPads, nothing, which is very hard, because I think we all that's what we gravitate towards, right?
That's how a lot of people wind down in the first place, is by doom scrolling. But okay, no blue light, no alcohol, and then what was the 2? And
then also no, the food 2 hours before. Try to have all your meals before 2 hours before.
Yeah, because the digestion, okay, when you lay down is different. Now, once you get into the bed, it's time to put the phones away, like you said. Why is that blue light so detrimental, though?
Blue light tends to stops melatonin. Melatonin is our hormone that we need for sleep. So when it suppresses it, and so then makes us stay awake longer. So
my goodness. Okay, that makes so much sense, though. Yes. So you say also that your sleeping matters. So how can people make sure that they have the best position so they don't wake up with a sore back or a sore shoulder? I tend to do that a lot. Even the neck too.
And sometimes it's just figuring your position. I think on the back or on the side is the best position, but our bodies are designed to roll at night. We need to move at night because that's how we balance our inner ear, is by turning our heads right and left. Yeah. And so, but we need to do that. We need to move without waking up. That's the key. And to be not sore when we do it. Sometimes it's the type of mattress that we use, which I'm a big fan of individual coiled mattresses. And so I think that's the important part, is that we try to find the lack of pressure points, right? So one of my favorite beds that's around, it's actually made here in Addison, Texas.
Nice.
But it's got 400 individual coils that all have their own brain. So they adjust you in real time. So every time when you roll over, it stops the pressure point. So then we wake up less sore, so we have better sleep, and we are much more productive.
It's like a Tempur-Pedic, but local. I like
it.
I like that.
A
little bit better, indeed. Okay, but tell me, because I love the idea of a nap. So how do you feel about naps in the middle of the day?
I think naps are okay. I think they need between, if a normal work day, I think between 1 and 3 p.m. I think is probably the best, and maybe 20 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, so that way we don't lose sleep later.
Yes.
But I think, and even if it's just a quiet, close your eyes, just kind of a little meditation, maybe kind of consider it, but a little quiet time, I think is always welcome.
Okay, so more of a cat nap or more of a quiet time meditation rather than a full REM deep sleep.
Yes.
Okay, I understand that. Now, how have you helped your clients get a better sleep, especially because most of them are athletes?
A lot of it's more of education, trying to teach them how to do better routines. So especially with the athletes, it's hard because they're flying all the time. So, they work, then they fly, then they've got to, go to hotels. But teaching them how to do a wind down routine, so that way they can kind of do it. But for average patients, teaching posture, teaching routines, teaching ergonomics makes them better.
Oh my goodness, I like that. Give them a plan so that they can do it for themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Very good. Okay, so if someone out there is thinking, okay, I have been struggling with my sleep for a long time, but way before daylight saving even came around, tell me, where can we find you so that they can get the help they need?
My website is drmarycollings.com, and then I also would like to recommend Ceridian.com.
Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you for
knowledge this
having
morning.
me.
We appreciate it.